Born on the 4th of January 1938 in Korea, Shin Joong-hyun from an early age had it rough. Born under Japanese occupation, losing his mother young, being forced to leave Korea and migrate to Manchuria and Japan, his father remarrying, then returning to what had now become South Korea during the Korean War, and then his father passing away in 1952 and his stepmother the following year in 1953. A lot of people find it hard just to wake up in the morning. This is an insane amount to go through in only 15 years of life, but all of it would shape him into the legend we know today. After this, Hyun picked himself back up and moved to Seoul, where he got a job at a pharmaceutical company and attended night school. While there, he picked up the acoustic guitar and taught himself how to play. But it wasn't until the mid-50s through the American Forces Korea Network radio station that he heard American music for the first time: jazz, blues, folk, and most importantly, rock and roll. Mesmerized by this new sound, in 1957, at the age 19, he made his debut performing at US military bases under the alias Jackie Shin, doing about 40 shows a month. In the following decade, though, Hyun went from performer to recording artist and producer. In 1962, with 3 other military-based performers, Hyun formed what's considered Korea's first rock band, the Ad4. Their sound was a mixture of early Beatles-style pop rock, trot, and light classical elements, making it both Western and uniquely Korean. But by the late 60s, the Ad4 would disband, and Hyun would shift focus to writing and producing for pop singers, notably the Pearl Sisters, whose debut album sold over 1 million copies. It was also around this time a new style of rock emerged, with the Beatles, Cream, The Doors, Love, and the Jimi Hendrix Experience at the forefront. This immediately caught Hyun's attention, and quicker than anyone else in Korea, he had already adapted to this new sound, releasing Inakata Davida in 1970, fully embracing psychedelic rock. Now, this is where Shin Joong-hyun's story turns from rags to riches to musical freedom fighter. In 1972, Hyun was approached by South Korean president and dictator Park Chung-hee, who had been in power for 11 years since seizing control in a 1961 military coup. Park was an authoritarian who imposed martial law, crushed dissent, and controlled the media, and he wanted Hyun to create a propaganda song glorifying him and his regime. Most artists would have probably folded in fear, but Shin Joong-hyun wasn't one of them. Having lived through war and loss, the last thing he would do was sacrifice his freedom and art for a dictator. So instead, Hyun wrote a 10-minute psychedelic rock epic, not praising Park, but celebrating the beautiful rivers and mountains of Korea. The song opens with a melancholic flute, backed by a bright organ and acoustic guitar, creating a feeling of deep introspection, as if gazing down from a mountaintop. After this, though, the instrumentation slowly breaks down, building tension before it crashes into the first verse with the entrance of a steady drum beat and Hyun's vocals. The song continues with imagery of people holding hands, the beauty of the motherland, and hopes for the future, but not a single mention of Park, which enraged him. After its release, police confiscated Hyun's guitars, shaved his head, and slightly banned his music from radio and distribution. But that would quickly become the least of his worries, as he was stalked and harassed by state police for about 2 years until 1975, when he was arrested for marijuana possession, which wasn't even formally illegal until a year later. So for the next 4 months in 1975, he spent his time in jail being tortured and abused by prison guards, most likely at Park's request. But just when you thought it couldn't get worse, after his sentence, he was immediately thrown into a psychiatric hospital, treated as a drug-crazed lunatic for about 2 years before finally being set free. But to Hyun, this was anything but freedom. He was completely blacklisted, his songs banned from radio, television, and distribution. He couldn't even perform live. His entire life and career basically crumbled before his eyes, and there was nothing he could do. That was until October 26, 1979, when Park Chung-hee was assassinated during a private dinner, ending his 18-year rule. And a year later, Shin Joong-hyun's music was finally unbanned, and he was free to perform and release anything he wanted to. After this, Hyun spent the 80s mostly out of the spotlight, running a few clubs in Seoul and quietly keeping his era of rock music alive. In the 1990s, though, he saw a big resurgence as a new generation of artists and listeners rediscovered his sound and ethos. In 2006, Hyun announced his retirement and would go on to receive international recognition, including major honors such as an honorary Doctor of Music Award in 2017 from Berklee College of Music. And in 2010, he became the first Asian musician and the sixth in the world at the time to receive a Fender Custom Shop tribute guitar. Today, in 2026, Shin Joong-hyun is still alive and widely regarded as the godfather of Korean rock, a true icon who survived censorship and persecution, showing that music is so much more than just entertainment, but a form of resistance and social action capable of challenging powers and preserving the real truth decades after attempts to silence it. Thank you for watching.